now time to invite the only male who will be making a keynote address this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, former Director, CEO, National Development Bank PLC and Director CEO of Pan Asia Bank PLC. Experienced Chief Executive Officer with a demonstrated history of working in the financial services industry in different geographies and cultures. He's skilled in banking, organizational leadership, credit risk, project management, risk management, and financial management. Strong multi-disciplined professional with fellowship of Institute of Bankers, MBA from PIM Sri Lanka, honors diploma in computer systems design from NIBM, a BSc in mathematics and statistics up to level 2 of CFA and leadership training at Harvard Business School. Proven results-driven leadership capabilities, including Chief Risk Officer roles with HSBC Group in 3 different countries and as CEO of 2 Sri Lankan banks prior to assuming the current position as Group CEO of NDB Group. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome on stage Mr. Dimantha Seneviratne.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's actually a great privilege to be here and share some thoughts with you on the topic of women participation in economic activities and some of the practical things that we can do as business leaders to keep moving the gender gap. And thank you, Anura, for inviting me here to address this great gathering, all the very powerful ladies here, and as the MC said, probably one of the thorns among the flowers, but that's a task I was being asked to do. And when Anura asked me to share some thoughts, I did some research, and of course I went through some of the recent statistics and research done by World Bank and also the UN on the gender participation. And one key finding that I noted is that if the gender employment gap is closed, there's a huge gap. Women employment as a central driver can lead to almost 20% growth in the long run GDP per capita of the whole world. So imagine that's the potential in terms of economic terms. The research also shows that in Sri Lanka has done relatively better compared to our counterparts in having a very robust labor law and policy initiatives to reduce barriers for the women to participate in the economic developments and also to get into the workforce. But apart from that, we all have every year around this time forums, especially when we celebrate the International Women's Day. Around that, so many forums are organized every March, and we discuss about things and see how we can get women participation increase, and so that we reduce this gap. But yes, there is a progress, but the developments are quite slow. Now, the women participation in Sri Lanka's workforce is surprisingly low. Women made up of only 33.5% of the Sri Lankan workforce, and almost exactly the half of what men are contributing. Men participation is 66%. And Sri Lanka, as a result, when you compare with the global average for women participation, it's 47.2%. So we have a huge gap, 47% versus 33.5%. And as a result, Sri Lanka has been the 14th largest gender gap in labor force participation globally. So that imagine if you can reduce that gap by having more women participate in this workforce, what's the contribution to the economic activities and our GDP? This low rate of participation, it's on the other hand, is especially compounding given the relatively high level of women graduates that are coming out from the universities. Now, even now, 60% of our undergraduates are females, right? And even there are approximately 1.4 female for one man in those who are getting into tertiary education. So girls are very smart. They get into the education, the tertiary education. I mean, given the Sri Lankan context, getting into universities, getting into the tertiary education is very challenging. And they're very smart and get into this. But after graduation, after completing that, now they fail to get into the next level and continue their careers because at mid-career level, they have to give up that. Unfortunately, the ladies here are those who are basically who have broken that barrier, but there are a lot more who are unable to do this, various reasons. So why this big gap in female participation? Now, by the time they graduate, finish their tertiary education, they'll be around 25, 27 years of age. And our society expect these females to marry soon, marry young, and once they're married, of course, the other home challenges and looking after the children, taking the home work. And despite the world being advanced so much, unfortunately, Sri Lanka is quite backward in their very male-dominated society that we have, and as a result, they won't get that opportunity to continue, and then we see a lot of high staff turnover in the mid-career level as a result. So research also confirmed, on the other hand, the corporates greatly benefit from increased employment and leadership opportunities if that is given to the women. And there are some studies that shows, now if there are 3 or more women in senior management functions, those corporates score higher in dimensions of all dimensions in organizational performance. So all the statistics talks about the contribution that women can provide. But unfortunately, there's a gap that we need to bridge. So realizing this challenge and also the benefits in women participation in management, NDB, the bank which was under my leadership, a few years ago developed several internal policies and structural enablers to improve on the gender parity. In the policy framework, the bank is very clear on equal opportunities at recruitments and also promotions, and also follow no discrimination when it comes to remuneration between the genders. And there are very strict guidelines and policies to tackle all forms of workplace harassment. It offered flexi working hours, which was very, very popular and very useful for the working mothers, and also the work from home arrangement, which is given to more than 50% of the staff. And also recently, we drove another initiative called Driving Fearlessly Female initiative to empower the female staff. And I'm quite pleased. I just retired from NDB, but I think over the years, 42% of NDB staff are females. And nearly 40% of our senior middle management and top management are also females. And last year, we also increased the number of board representation. Now 40% of the board directors are also females. And we see the benefits, the significant drive that NDB had in terms of growth, all the achievements, I would say that partly due to the contribution and ideas coming from this female leadership as well. So we have seen that, and these things are recognized by international firms as well. And I think NDB is one of the was recently honored as one of the most outstanding women-friendly workplaces in Sri Lanka at the WFWA Awards. So I hope that more and more organizations would embark on such initiatives to encourage female participation in workplaces so that we can reap these economic benefits. That's one message that I want to share. Apart from that, the individual organizational efforts, we also need to have a national level approach because we saw the gap, the huge gap that as a country that we have. So even another research finding is that when more women work, economies would go faster, and it estimated that closing the gender gap could give the global economy, United States dollars, 7 trillion boost if we can reduce this gap. Again, at NDB, we did a survey to find out, actually we did it along with the IFC support, and Nielsen did the survey before we introduced the banking on women proposition. And we found some very amazing statistics. One is their credibility in terms of loan settlements, their financial management are excellent and much above the male. They are very good creditworthy borrowers, creditworthy customers. However, they don't have any security to offer. Now, almost, here in Sri Lanka, you need to have collateral to offer as security in most SMEs. And almost all the securities, the lands or the buildings, properties, all with men. Again, there is a huge discrimination where they are unable to offer this kind of security, but they are very good in credit. So what's the solution? So we came up with the scorecard-based solution to evaluate them and provide financial assistance in terms of loans. And that was under the NDB Aralia brand. And I'm so happy that so many women entrepreneurs progress from strength to strength with new funding coming in. And this is again one small way that organizations can contribute to improve the women participation in economic activities. And I'm again happy to say that NDB negotiated a facility from DFC, Development Finance Corporation of US, 2 years ago, again about $50 million. Of that, 35% of that to be dedicated for women-driven enterprises. Another step that we took in getting into the national level is the opportunities that were given to those unsung heroes, the females who are driving the economy. Now, bank was again instrumental in launching the Sri Lanka Vanitha Bhimani Awards program. It's a flagship initiative which was initiated 4 years ago, dedicated to discovering, empowering, and recognizing the high-performing females across multiple economic and social landscapes in the form of a competition and award scheme. And of course, naturally, we had to tie up with a media company. So we tied up with News First because we need that structured approach to go into the masses, and also it had a lot of judges also in the process. And I'm so happy, again, it's covering the entire country at the provincial level under different schemes, giving them the recognition and opportunity to be recognized so that they will be contributing more and more. The main aim of this Vanitha Bhimani is to stimulate the female participation in both economic and social activities and accelerate their contribution to the socio-economic progress of the country. It also yields numerous other benefits to participants, such as opportunity for them to network, gain access to the marketplaces, and also exposure and education on various topics via workshops, etc. Now, I think these are national level events. Even at little by little, we as organization, we as business leaders can do to improve this and bridge that gap, because that gender gap is something that we still are struggling with, and country needs certain initiatives to bring that gap down so we can get more women participation to improve, and as a result to improve our economy as well. So these are some thoughts, and this is based on the subject that was given to me, and thank you very much for the attention. Thank you.